Hey guys, Russ Lyman here, and I'm going to show you how to make a Donkey Kong barrel just like this one. Alright guys, the first thing you're going to need is a water jug. Now I just ended up getting these from one of my friends. They sell them at Home Depot, Lowe's, you can pick them up anywhere. This one has a couple stickers on it, so I need to get those off. So a good tool is Goo Gone. Just a little bit of Goo Gone, soaks right into the sticker, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then you should be able to peel it off. Just like this one. This one's been sitting. You can see it on the reflection there. Now this was a smaller sticker, so it came off pretty easy. But with the bigger label, it did take some more techniques to get it all the way off. I used a little bit of a razor blade here and kind of scraped underneath, and it was able to peel off a majority of the sticker that way, and whatever residue was left over, I put some more Goo Gone on it, let it sit for about 5 minutes, 6-7 minutes, something like that, and rubbed it with just a wet rag. Did that a few times and then ended up getting all of it off. That's some of the residue there. But you could get that off easily with the Goo Gone. Next thing you'll need is some acrylic paint. You can get these at Walmart, any craft store. I'm using yellow, brown, red, and black. The primary colors there that you're going to need. So let's get to it. Alright, so here's with one coat of paint onto the water jug. And once that dries, you'll be able to add a couple more coats and they'll start to build up and not look so see-through. So just keep at it. Next step here, I'm going to end up cutting off the top half of the jug here. Now I'm using a Dremel tool with a cutting wheel, a thin cutting wheel. And I'm just following along the barrel here and just cutting off the entire top there. I was going to cut off just a little bit, but it looks a lot better with the entire top cut off. Next item you're going to need is some plywood. I picked this up at Lowe's. It's only $3.66. Get a square piece, easy to take home, and you can use it for a couple things on this project here. Now the hole we just cut, we need to make a wooden plug. So I'm tracing the barrel there, and I'm just going to cut that out a little bit on the inside of the red line there. I need it to be a little shorter. Next we'll need aluminum strips. I'm getting thin ones. They're let's see, what are they, 1/8? Yep, 1/8 of an inch, $10. One strip did it. It was long enough. Just fit in my car. Now with the aluminum strip here, you gotta measure the width of your barrel on where the aluminum strip is. And this step is really optional. You can paint black lines around there if you don't want to go get the aluminum strip, and it'll look just as fine. I kind of wanted mine to have more of a 3D effect on it, so that's why I bought the aluminum strip there. But you could keep costs down and just skip this step and paint it on. So I'm measuring, and I also took into effect that the aluminum strips are going to overlap one another. Just got my Dremel tool again. I'm using the thin cut wheel, but they also have a metal one. This is thin aluminum, so it cuts fairly easy. If you don't have a Dremel tool, you could always use a hacksaw. And you don't even have to cut all the way through on this. I just scored it a couple times and it was easy enough just to bend right off. And you could just snap it right there. Now the next thing is I'm marking where I'm drilling in holes, where I'm going to put some screws and bolts. And just using the table there and drilling the holes. I found this way to be easier rather than bending the metal around the barrel and then trying to drill into it. And I spaced them about 12 inches apart or so. Doesn't have to be exact. And now I'm going to form it around the water jug there. So I'm just pressing. It's thin aluminum, so it does bend pretty well. It does take some persuasion, bending it off of the barrel. I also use some pliers. Here's some bolts we're going to pick up. 1/4 inch bolts. I only ended up using a couple of these, but... And then pick up the nuts as well to match. They're only a couple cents, so hey, why not? I also use these machine screws. One package of those did pretty good. I use those for the majority around the aluminum strips, and there's the bolts that I got for the big guys. There's the holes where I would drill in. So now I'm drilling into the jug itself, and then I'm taking the machine screw and putting it in, and just putting the nut on the inside there, and I'm using a screwdriver to tighten it, and it pulls the aluminum strip down tighter. And then just moving along, going one at a time. This way it stays nice and tight and flush. So just take your time with this step here. Now this last, I'm getting the very last edge of it, really trying to force it over. And you needed to drill through both pieces of metal here and use the big bolt to secure them. So what I ended up doing is drilling a hole in the first strip of aluminum here. And just be real careful here. You want to slip and hit your hand. And the aluminum does get hot, so I recommend to wear some gloves. And now I'm just bending it over and marking with a magic marker where the hole should meet, and drilling a hole into the other piece of aluminum. And then I'm just going to join the two with the bolt, and it'll be a nice tight fit. I'm also, I had to use a wider drill bit to make sure that the bolt was going to fit, because it was a little bit thicker. It takes a little persuasion to really get it over there, but you want to have a nice tight fit. And I'm just using some vice grips there to tighten up the bolt. That seemed to work the best. Nice tight fit there. Perfect. Looks like a nice drinking mug. Could also store cats in it. Penny, what are you doing in there? Now we're going to need some liquid nails. You just spread a whole bunch around on the top there, and then we're going to take that piece of circle we cut out earlier and place it right on top. Should be a nice lip there for it to sit into, and then right on top of that, a little bit more liquid nails. I just went around the whole thing. You could be pretty, generous with the liquid nails, and I use my finger to kind of smooth it over. This way it just has a nicer finished look. Make sure to keep some paper towels on handy because stuff gets sticky. Awesome. Alright, now we're going to put the DK logo. There it is. I'm going to cut it out of the leftover plywood. And I'm going to measure between the aluminum strips because that's where the logo is going to fit. You kind of get a rough estimate there. Measure it out on my plywood, and I'm just going to sketch this out, freehand it. And there's the finished logo, DK. I ended up splitting it because it was too wide and it had too much gap because it is a round surface, so they fit weird. So this way I can put the K under the D kinda, and it forms to the barrel a little bit better. Drilled holes in them and then put the screws through it, and now I'm just screwing the screw into the barrel. That seemed to work the best. Nice secure fit. You could always use liquid nails. Now this is going outdoors, so that's why I used wood, but you can use cardboard or anything else if it's just going to be in your game room and not exposed to the elements, and then you could get that nice curve. You could just paint it on there, but again, I said I like the 3D effect, how it stands out, so those are just a couple options. I'm putting some black onto the aluminum strip here, because in the picture they are black strips that go around the barrel. I didn't want to cover them completely in black, so I took a plastic bag and rubbed the paint a little bit, so this way it gives it a weathered look. This way it looks like it's been roughed up and out in the jungle for some while. And I also used the paint that was on there and kind of rubbed some on the barrel itself, again, to give it that beat up weather look. It adds a nice effect to it. This way it's not like a perfect barrel that's brown everywhere. You kind of want to rough it up, and looks cool, gives it some texture. I like it. Now I'm just adding some lines that would mimic the wood boards that you would make a barrel out of. Now I'm just finishing up using some yellow for the outline of the DK. And I did a couple coats of this because I really want the yellow to stand out. And also I want to make sure you guys paint the top of the barrel. If you look up top there, I'm waiting for it to dry, the liquid nails still. You want to give it a couple hours before you really put some paint on there. But you'll see after this shot that it's fully painted on top. And there's both sides, looking pretty good. You know, give it some time for the paint to dry. This way you get a lot of good coats on there. Alright. Alright guys, here's the finished product. Came out pretty awesome. I put the Donkey Kong on two sides. I'm going to put this one on my car, so I'll probably have it sitting up on the roof rack, something like that. So you'll be able to see it from both sides, but not too bad. Just the top. Kind of roughed up the edges and the aluminum a little bit. I think it came out pretty great. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you guys are going to make one or what you would do different to it. And I'll talk to you guys next time.